Right, just going to stop here a moment and reset the trip meter, doing the kind of full reset. Boom. Right, I charged up yesterday. I'm in the Zoe for I've been in it for the last few days, but it's been the first time I've been kind of driving it for quite a while. My better half is usually using this now for commuting around the city, heading to work and back from work and all that sort of stuff, which it has been working great doing that. So when we got the MG ZS and we got rid of our other kind of family car, so we're two EVs now, and I've been tending to drive around in the MG. I would tend to do more miles, and so I've been using that, and the Zoe has been used for commuting across the city, so it's not been doing a huge amount of miles, probably charging every maybe every 5 days or so, maybe every once a week during the winter, every 4 days or something like that, and but that's all been good. Now, this car is now 9 years since it's over 9 years that we've had it. We ordered it in 2013, so kind of 9.5 years ago, I guess, is when we put the order in, and then it arrived kind of the end of 2013, but I was in a super busy time, so just kind of left it a couple of weeks, I think it was, at the dealer before picking it up, and then picked it up at the dealership, and at the beginning of 2014. So it is a 2014 car that arrived here in the country just at the end of 2013. So quite an early car, and over the years, a few things that we've done to it over those years, and it got the new dashboard and the darker dashboard and things like that. For on a sunny day like this, is good, because even with the black dashboard that's on this, just the kind of way the plastic is, you do get a little bit of kind of sheen off it, which reflects in the windscreen, and it's quite noticeable. So when it had the previous lighter dashboard, which was kind of the same colour as the rest, this sort of colour here, it was bad when the sun was right at you. It was not particularly pleasant. Anyway, that was years ago that was done, a long time ago. And generally, I mean, there hasn't been an awful lot to report over the last couple of years with the car, because it has just been chuntering on. It's been doing absolutely fine. We've not had any big issues with it. It's still been under a warranty right up until now. So any issues that came up usually just were dealt with at the service, and most of the time those have been related to the front suspension, changing drop links. This last service, it had one of the control arms replaced, so yeah, that's really it. The only other thing that we've had twice is related to the battery management system, and one of the kind of control boxes had to be replaced. Now it's been done under warranty both times that has happened, otherwise that is it, and it's been fine for the last couple of years. In fact, so fine that we bought out the battery on it, so now the whole thing is owned, battery and all, for the car. So we just did that recently, actually, the battery buyout, and it was £1,800. Now we had been spending, because we were right early on in the lease thing, about £70 a month for that. Though something went a bit wrong with the payments at their end, and we hadn't been charged the regular monthly payment for about a year, which I hadn't noticed until I was just doing a bit of investigation about buying the battery, and then I realised, hang on a minute, and our direct debit was still active, it just hadn't been taken. So when I contacted them about that, they realised it was their mistake and waived what would have been paid, needed to be paid. So, having not paid for a year, and the thought of, well, they would then have to reintroduce the payment, thought, well, let's just buy the battery out, as it's not, well, still quite a lot of money, but in the bigger scheme of things, it'll add to the value for the car, and the value of all EVs at the moment is still really quite remarkable, how well they are holding their value. So I mean, if you think of like a 10-year-old Renault Clio or something like that, wouldn't be worth a whole lot, I would imagine, a few thousand maybe, and yet the EVs are many thousands. So, which does kind of lead to what we're going to do with this car. I'd always thought we'd keep it for around about this length of time. So, yeah, we're starting to look and think about what we might do with it, because there's plenty of life left in this for someone. For us, it would be nice to have something that had a bit more range for going to visit as kids are moving further away. Having both of us being able to have cars that are easy to jump in and do 150 miles would be great. So it's good for what it does, and it does it reliably and well, and has done for many, many years. If we were thinking of changing, it would be for something that was a little bit bigger for dogs and all, and had a bit bigger range. Yeah, so Renault, I mean, they've done a good job with their electric cars, their EVs. I feel like, I mean, this was a really good start for them. Obviously, they had the Fluence before, which was a bit of a bit compromised, I would say, as a car. And this is much better. I mean, obviously, it's built on parts of other cars. I think the front subframe, kind of front suspension of this one is based on a Megane, and there's parts of it that are based on a Clio, and it's using bits from there already in their bin, but they did a good job with it, and then they've been very good at keeping it updated over the years. I know some folks have got the 40 kilowatt hour version of the Zoe and have got on great with it, and it's really, that was a really good update. And then the 52 kilowatt hour version, that's a really nice interior. I've sat at it and appreciated how much that is improved. So that's that's good. That's made been updating the car over the years, which has been really, really positive. And then the new Megane looks fabulous. I was when this was getting serviced, I was in the dealership, so having a wee look around it, and that looks, it looks good from what I haven't taken one for a drive yet, but from what I hear, it drives really well. Of course, a big battery capacity, so that keeps it going. The downside, as with all EVs, well, most EVs, is the price, of course. That is an expensive car, and way out of our price bracket. So we would not be looking to be replacing this with a Megane. Alas, nice though that would be. So we'll be looking for a different option. So I think actually our replacement for this, if we get one, is going to be a used car, maybe something 2 years old, 3 years old, something along those lines. Just the buying something that is new. They are, now that there's no government subsidy to kind of help out, they have really pretty much pushed outside of our budget, what we can stretch to, and the only exception being the likes of MG, of course. Now, when we got the ZS, that was right when it was first launched, so we got a cracking good deal on that at the time, which really helped. The MG4, which is getting such a good write-up at the moment, maybe is just kind of in that kind of price range, which we might be able to stretch to when we're looking to change the ZS. But for replacing this one, unfortunately, not a chance of getting something new, so it's going to need to be something second-hand, which is fine. The downside with getting something that is used is that it is going to be a compromise, and really the compromise being between range, the size of the battery, which of course they're going up and up, and charging speed. So more modern cars are able to charge faster. That is still, in our experience generally up here in Scotland, there are so few chargers that are over 50 kilowatts that doesn't really make a huge difference. But anyway, that's probably where the compromise lies. And if we were going to go on a longer journey, would we anyway take the ZS, which can charge a bit faster, though not in cold weather so much, or whatever we might replace that with in the future. So there we go. Compromises. I have been looking at the Hyundai Ioniq, the original version, 28 or 38 kilowatt hour version, probably the latter, and I know there are charging speed issues for rapid charging with that, but that really wouldn't be much of an issue for us, because we would probably for a longer run take the other car, so it would mostly be used for runs where we might use all of that range, but then we would be at our destination for that, and could then just charge at a slower charger, or if it takes an hour and a half to charge back up to 100%, that's okay. It wouldn't be a big issue for us. So that is kind of what we might end up doing there. One of the other reasons for thinking about the Hyundai Ionic is just how efficient it is, and with the price of energy at the moment, I think for this is living in Aberdeen. You see, this is the Aberdonian coming out. I'm for the few times where we might be rapid charging on a long journey in that car over the years to come, where we might have to wait an extra 40 minutes here or there. Ooh, that would be well outweighed by the lack of energy cost over the whole picture. So we get, as I mentioned in a video I put up, just update on the ZS the other day, we've been averaging about 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour in that over the last kind of 5,000-6,000 miles. So that's probably the last kind of 6 months or so. And in the Zoe, for most of the miles we have in it, which are around town, usually with the heater on, and through the winter, it's been like 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So I just I reset everything, because it's not had a good run, this car, for quite a while. How many miles have I done? About 9-10 miles, and I'm doing 3.17 miles per kilowatt hour. Not great when it's just around kind of country roads. I'm not on the motorway or anything. I'm in eco mode. I'm chatting on the video, so I'm not really concentrating on the driving so much. So I'm sure if I was concentrating a bit more on the driving, I could eke it out. But having something that would be doing 4.5-5 miles per kilowatt hour with the cost of energy at the moment, that would be nice. That would be good. So watch this space, I guess, on that one. I must admit, since doing some of these videos, there's been a huge amount that's changed in the EV world, and it is just becoming mainstream now, isn't it? So as the proportion of those driving, as folks realise petrol diesel is coming towards the end as a fuel for kind of mainstream vehicles, there are always going to be cases, I suspect, or for the foreseeable future, where fossil fuels are still going to be used for some things, but for most folks, most of the time, electric vehicles are going to be perfectly acceptable and doable. If they become a little bit cheaper, then the range of options available is just growing all the time, which is really good to see. Great to see. So from when we ordered this a decade ago, when you had the likes of the iMeave, and then the Leaf, of course, and then BMW i3 was a bit later coming out. Was that the next year that came out? There weren't very many options at that time, so it is it's great to see so many more options, and a lot more people taking the plunge now, which is good. So I've talked a little bit about the Renaults, what's going on there, the MGs and the MG4, the MG5. I mentioned the other video. The MG4 looks really good, does look good. MG5 still is a lot better. The front of it is much better, but it looks so frumpy from the side. It does not have a good side profile. It's something to do with the huge gaps in the wheel arches, and then the massive amount of body above the rear wheel arch before you get to the window. Just doesn't look balanced to me. So but the MG4, that is a good job they've made of that. It looks good. Interior's a bit drab. I wish they gave... I don't know why they have made the UK version like you're walking into a pit of despair. It's all black. And it is dark inside. Whereas a lot of the other models in other markets, it's like this. It's a light roof lining and kind of around here, and the door pillars are a lighter colour, which lifts, I can imagine it, a lot. So, yeah. Apart from that, it does look good. Other cars that are around at the moment, the biggie, I guess, Tesla. Tesla. Well, I don't know. I mean, I have an awful mixed feelings about Tesla. I really appreciate a lot of what they've done for pushing on the market for electric vehicles, and some of the actual, what they're doing with the cars is absurd in some ways for performance levels and things like that, but also really cool and quite impressive. But then you've got Elon Musk, and let's not beat around the bush. The guy's a nutter, and no matter how much you try and paint over that he's some kind of genius or something, he's got a huge amount of money, and that allows him to buy talent. This is my humble opinion. That enables him to do things that us mere mortals can't, because we don't have all of that money. And so I don't know. I just If I was management of Tesla or a big other shareholder in Tesla, I'd be trying to disentangle that company away from the figurehead at the top. Anyway, on the cars themselves, I do appreciate a lot of the technology that they have in them, and some of what they're doing as far as battery management and this kind of how they manipulate the energy and heat in particular is really, really clever. And I wish other manufacturers were taking note and doing similar things to the level that Tesla are doing it. So scavenging heat from the motors and into the cabin, or to balance the heat in the battery. It's all good stuff. That's really good. Some of what they're doing is unnecessary in my book, as much as the performance is super fun and all of that. When it comes down to it, do you need that level? No, of course you don't. So there is something about the kind of the profligacy, the wastefulness of the energy that that energy has to come from somewhere. And so I don't know. There's that weird. This I get conflicted with Tesla, because on one side they're doing some really good things and the efficiency is fantastic, and then on the other side, but maybe this is what you need to do in order to create the big market for things. And they are not alone, because all manufacturers are building ridiculous performance versions of their cars. So who am I to say, if I could afford one, would I go for one? Oh yeah, probably, because that'd be fun for the few times that you might use it. But unnecessary? Well, obviously. But there we go. Some of the other manufacturers, Audi, they've got a huge rate. Mercedes, they're getting like a whole range of different electric cars of different things. Of course, they're all big and bulky. And that, must admit, that is one of the reasons why the original Ioniq is quite appealing to me, because it is not that. It isn't a huge SUV, and the ZS is a crossover, the MG ZS, but it's not that big. And even so, I'm thinking this is a bit silly to be driving this around. But there you go. I'm showing my age clearly. But they're like, yeah, the Mercedes, like the interiors of the Mercedes look absolutely fantastic. All these screens everywhere. So yeah, could I hanker after one of those? Oh yeah, bet your life, of course. But be a heck of a long time before that would be affordable. So there we go. That's it. A Mercedes, Audis, yeah, all looking good. Volkswagens, the ID Buzz, that looks a lot of fun, I must admit. The ID3 and the ID4, there's a lot of those around us at the moment. I definitely prefer the look of the ID4, and that's me going against what I've just been saying. It's bigger, kind of more crossover style, but they are. I tell you, I quite like the look of them when I first saw them because it was a really nice, clean design. But the more I see them around, the more plain they look, and they just don't really do much. So, and I feel a bit the same way about the Teslas. They're all such cookie cutters cars. They all look, very similar and a little bit bland to my eyes. Not everyone sees it that way. My opinion here, that is all. Yeah. So yeah, something like the Jaguar I-Pace, which is a good few years old now. I quite like its style. It has a good look to it, and it is a bit different. It has a bit of the style of the manufacturer, but it's modern and a different take. The Mercedes are clearly trying to find their own with the electric cars, their own kind of style language for those. The Audis, it's more in the details, isn't it, rather than the whole design of them. Otherwise, they do just look like an Audi. Yeah. But Hyundai or Hyundai and Kia, they've been doing some fantastic things. There goes a Cupra. I quite like the look of that, must admit. It does look better than the ID3, the Cupra Born. Hyundai and Kia, I mean, they've been doing some great things. So, the Ioniq 5, I think, is just a classy and classic piece of work. That looks that is great. It's modern, it's stylish. The little design elements, they're great. It's big. Again, there's one near where in Glasgow, near where we often go, and I've had a good look at it, and it's a big beast. The Ioniq 6, I must admit, I think that looks fantastic. I really like the look of that. Like an old-fashioned streamliner, really good. Similar to some of what Mercedes is doing, obviously, with their cars, but that looks good, and clearly it's more efficient than the 5 aerodynamically, so it'll play the benefit of that. Of course, both those cars are not cheap. They are pricey, and that goes for a lot of these cars. I mean, some of them are mental how much they are costing at the moment. So when we're in a cost of living crisis as we are at the moment, I think it's really quite surprising that anyone is able to afford some of these. I guess that is what the kind of lease deals do for you, how that all works. But there we go. Well, what else is out there? Fiat E500. That looks brilliant. As the Honda, that looks a fantastic little car. limited by range, yeah. But the interior looks just brilliant. And then you've got the new Nissan, the Ariya. That again, the interior of that looks super classy. Looks really nice, well designed there. The exterior, yeah, it looks pretty big. The exterior doesn't do it to me so much, but the interior looks really good. That's those. I haven't seen one yet. I've just seen the images of them. I haven't seen one firsthand, so I'll need to reserve a bit of judgment until I do. And then you've got these range of new cars coming out of China. Thinking about some cars coming from BYD, and they've got a kind of range of cars that are coming, and then the Aura, is it the Funky Cat or something like that it's called? It's a strange looking thing. I quite like the interior. The exterior, it doesn't really do it for me. It looks like a strange kind of crossover between an old Nissan Micra and a Porsche 911 or something. It's a bit weird, the exterior of it, but the interior looks pretty good. Too small for us for the boot space and things, but and again, quite expensive for what you're getting for that. But lots of different options coming out at the moment. So, I mean, it is a good time to be looking for an EV. And then, of course, you've got the new Kia Niro, and the coming out as well, the Kona. So, yeah, there's some new options there. And, yeah, options is always good. So it's really impressive. Things have changed a lot over this last 10 years. And that's good. Very positive to see. One of the things I really noticed getting back into the Renault after driving the MG a lot is the lack of regenerative braking. So it's not that it isn't there in the Renault, but it's so much of it is controlled by the brake pedal, which when I was kind of used to that, well, that was all fine when I was just using the Renault, and you kind of adapted your driving style to make as much of that as possible. So you did quite a lot of kind of coasting up to things, which you wouldn't tend to do in a car with higher regen, of course, because it is regenerating more powerfully. So when I get in this one and I'm letting off the throttle and I'm used to the kind of level 3 regen in the ZS, which is what I normally would have it on, and that is a level of regen that triggers the braking lights at the back, then you let off and nothing happens. It feels like you just almost like you're coasting. It might be a bit better. I'm a bit down on the battery now, so it might be a bit better than it was. Of course, when the battery's full, it doesn't regen much, if at all. There may be a bit more now, but yeah, it's really noticeable, and you do get used to that more of a one pedal driving with the other car, or indeed any other car that has higher levels of regen. So it's a miss then when you come back to the Renault. It's just that, having to readjust yourself to what's going on with it. Oh, this is a scary little bit of road. I'm just having a wee jaunt round in the Shire around Aberdeen, and just been through a place we used to live in. way back when, like nearly 30 years ago. And just on this stretch of road here, in a Citroen BX estate, 1.9 petrol, automatic. I think it was just around this corner here, the engine seized. Just going up this hill here. Oh, well, I was a student at the time, and that was expensive and painful experience. It had just been in for a service. I won't say which dealership it was, but they had clearly not put oil in it, refilled it with oil, but there was nothing we could do to prove it, and so that was that. And it's seized because of no oil. Now the warning light had come on, but just briefly beforehand, so it all happened really quick, which was somewhat surprising. So yeah, I had to get a new engine for that. Oh yeah, that was painful, but no such problems in the Zoe. We are just cruising along. So we have done now, what have I done here? 26 miles, used 6 kilowatt hours, and we're averaging 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. A little bit over that. So it is creeping up. I have got my little trip report on the screen, and I am getting 99 out of 100 for my driving, so not all bad on that. It's quite cold still. It's only 6 degrees out today, so the battery will still be quite chilly. Won't have had time to warm up. I've not been doing any big yo-yoing, accelerating hard, braking hard. Though, that being said, I do need to give the brakes a bit of a workout, because when it was going through its MOT, one of the things I mentioned is the rear brakes binding a little. Now, I suspect that is just because they haven't been used and they need a good hard workout, and that usually does the job in freeing them up. Sometimes they get a bit noisy, and a couple of good hard emergency brakes like the one I'm about to do, hold on to my bag and everything. Oh, I tell you what, they did that pretty good though. They were working all right. That was I've just taken 4% off my driving. I hadn't thought about that, how that would instantly destroy my driving score. It's now down to 95 out of 100, and my anticipation score has lost a bar. My anticipation speed were both perfect, full bars. Pants. There you go. My nice driving out the window. Oops. There we go. However, it was braking nice and straight and no problems, which was good. That is the thing with an electric car. The brakes just don't get used. So yeah, you kind of think, oh well, that's fine then. You're never going to wear them out. Well, that's right. You don't wear the pads out, but actually the other, the discs can corrode a bit because they're not getting used very much. The drums at the back, if you've got drums, they just don't get used much at all. So yeah. Oh, everything in life, it's all a compromise, isn't it? One way or the other. And everything's connected in some way. So if you save somewhere, you're going to pay for it somewhere else. Life lessons, hard learned. All right, I'm up to 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So this is getting a little bit better as I'm driving a bit further. Onto a bit of dual carriageway here. So I'll need to pick up the speed a bit, so no doubt it's going to sink down a little bit lower. In fact, quite a lot of this is uphill as well, so that's not ideal for my average. Another car I was just thinking about, I saw one just drive by, was a Polestar, so the kind of Volvo electric cars, and I don't know an awful lot about those, I must admit. I see quite a few of them around. I quite like the style of them. They're a bit different, that's always welcome. But I don't know a huge amount about them. I was just in somebody else's Volvo the other day, and it was fine, but it wasn't anything special. XC40, I think it was. I was in, so it was diesel, but it would be nice to try one. I mean, I remember sitting in old Volvos used to be the most comfortable cars. The seats always fantastic, but I just kind of felt like any other car really, which is a bit disappointing. The one I was in on Monday, but there you go. And then you've got all of the Stellantis cars, so the Peugeots and Citroens, and they all just seem to be versions of the same thing, basically, don't they? So it's the same underpinnings. Is it EMP? Is that right? Oh, I'm getting confused about the different platforms now between different car companies. So they're all kind of variants on a theme. 50 kilowatt hour, generally, aren't they? I quite like the look of the Citroens. They just need to expand the options a bit. The Berlingo, the electric Berlingo, my folks have a Berlingo. It's been a great car, that an old HDI diesel that they've had for years and years. Must be 10-15 years now, but it's been great, and it's so capacious. So an electric version of that is quite appealing in a funny kind of way. I guess those cars, that they are kind of what you'd expect them to be, kind of middle of the road in the technology that's in them, but quite well designed. And the quality of the Peugeot and Citroens is so much better than it used to be. Interior quality and things, they're usually pretty nice places to sit. Even our old Grand Picasso was well-made car, never went wrong in the 4 years or so we had it. It was good. They don't really, don't get me completely enthused, because I kind of feel like they're a bit, neither one thing or the other. They're not, trying to be. It's almost about style for style's sake in some ways. Maybe the Citroen's a bit different, because they're definitely kind of trying to lean into the comfort with their suspension setup, almost harking back to days gone by, which is good. I am not a fan of rock solid suspension. In some of the Teslas I've been in, it's just been horrible on your back. So as somebody who has had some back issues, no thank you, would not want that. But otherwise they're just kind of middle of the road, and I suppose that's what they are. That's what the companies, that's their bread and butter. But it is noticeable. Right. Have I done a roundup of almost everything that's out there at the moment? I feel like I should have really made some notes and had a wee list, but I've been kind of just working my way around as things spring into my... Oh, BMW I have not mentioned. Well, I mean, the technology is there, but the styling is challenging, to say the least. As somebody who quite likes things I do like a bit of avant-garde, but I like like a cohesive style to things. And the BMW style language at the moment. I mean, I know I'm jumping on a bit of a bandwagon here, but it's the cohesion of it just isn't there. So yeah, I don't find them very attractive, and again, honking expensive. These massive SUVs they don't really do it for me. Some of the smaller, like the kind of more, but the styling, challenging, that one. There you go. If you've got one, I'm sure it's lovely, and I'm sure it drives really well. And, if it's your baby, well, of course, you always love your own baby, don't you? So, yeah, there you go. Pretty stunning. So this is the wind farm that's just off the coast of Aberdeen, and there are, I think it's 8 turbines. I could count them if I tried, couldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 turbines. I think they're 8 odd megawatts, something like that. The power from each of them. So. And today, in case you hadn't picked up on it, it's a crazy windy day. So windy, in fact, that the wind overnight has ripped one of the blinking doors off our shed in the garden. So that's great fun. So yeah, these turbines are all spinning away merrily, making power for the city into the grid. And just a little bit over there is where the power comes. There's a substation just over the hill over here, where the power comes onshore from all of these things here. And I think, if I remember rightly, the diameter of the blade length of one of those blades is like 80 meters or something. They're huge. I mean, they don't look very big from here, but they're actually quite a long way out into the sea. So they are pretty epic. It is windy out there. Oh dear. Yeah, so I have, let's have a look and see here. I'm about half on the battery. I have managed to get it up over 4 miles per kilowatt hour, averaging about 30 miles an hour or so, 29 miles an hour. You can see how my score took that hit after my emergency braking endeavours. Yeah, that was a mistake for keeping my score up. Oh well. And there we are. We're about 50% on the... Yeah, it's almost exactly 50% on the battery. So 80... 85, 86 miles in temperatures that are 6 degrees and blowing a gale out there. It's not too bad, actually, for a 9-year-old car. Battery degradation. I did check a wee while ago. Now, I don't know how much the temperature would make a difference, but it was around about 90%. On the battery health. So after 9 years and 53,000 odd miles, is that right? What have we done here? Yeah, 53,600 miles. That, in my book, is not bad at all. I mean, you expect a bit of battery degradation. This has been just after the winter. The battery would never have been getting warm over the last few months, basically. It would have been hovering around, -5 to 5 degrees, probably. Some days it's been a little bit warmer, but mostly not. So, yeah, when the temperature goes up a bit, it'd be interesting to recheck that. and see if that has improved any from that. But even so, to my mind, that is not bad at all after all of these years. And it certainly, when we bought this car, oh my goodness, the number of people that said about the battery life, oh well, you'll just be having to replace the battery in 2 or 3 years. Well, yeah, we knew that wasn't the case at the time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it, because that would be crazy. But yeah, it really does fly in the face of all of that. I mean, there's just been a very few cars that, like the kind of original Leafs, that had, especially in high temperatures, issues with the battery management for not really having any thermal management. But for those cars, like the Zoe, which has a kind of basic thermal management system, yeah, that pretty much looks after the battery. The only downside for like this, as opposed to some more modern cars that have even better thermal management of the batteries, is that it doesn't warm the battery. Which would be good if you could do. Yeah, so you have to do that yourself by how you drive the car. Then that's when you've got limited range, that's not ideal. So yeah. Anyway, I've got 48 miles left on the range, it says, and I think I'm gonna start kind of heading back. Well, I might do a wee loop and then find a rapid charger and just see what charge speed we're getting out of the car when it is still so cold. Right, away from this windy coastal setting. Let's see if this rapid charger is available. Fingers crossed, and I've just gone past it. I used to work down here, you'd think I'd know by now. Right. I haven't been here for a little while, and just like on the side of the road, randomly, there is a rapid charger and a 22 kilowatt as well, I think. And we have got, what have we got? We've got a Tesla sitting there charging. And, in the AC. How annoying is that? No one at it, of course. I'm going to go and have a look. I bet it's finished charging as well. Two hours, 37 minutes it was left here for. Heaven only knows how long it's been here for. Charging is finished and it's blocking it. Brilliant. Well, there you go. That is not helping my feelings about Teslas. So yeah, that car has clearly just been left here all day on a rapid charger. And so blocking it from anyone else. There are 2 AC chargers right just here. So if you were staying here all day, why wouldn't you just plug into one of those? Unreal. So that is very frustrating. Yeah, so, well, not much point staying here. Heaven only knows how long I'd be waiting for. But it's annoying because this charger is usually pretty reliable at giving full whack. So I will go and see if I can find another one. I have 13 miles left on the GOM. Let me turn on here. And just so... where are we? Yes, 13 miles left on the GOM. And if I come over here and do the old driving eco thing, so 71 miles done, and I managed to get my anticipation back up to full, but I did quite a bit on dual carriage rate, so I lost a bit on speed, alas. So there you go. And I'm still on 95 after my braking endeavours. There you go. Right. Well, no point hanging around here. Head back into town and find another charger. Oh, it is really annoying though. That is really annoying. What do you do? Oh, yeah, since I've been driving around a bit more in the car, believe it or not, I think one of the driver's side drop link has just tipped. There was a little bit of a knock, but it only does it if I'm braking. So I guess it's then as something's happening in the suspension geometry. But when you brake, you get a nice little rattle from the driver's side. I'm sure that'll be the drop link for the anti-roll bar, which I swear we are on our this may be our fourth or our fifth set of these. So that is the weak link on this car, and the suspension setup is those drop links wear out so quickly. They are clearly just a disposable element for the car. I'll see if I can capture this noise if I come up to a braking point just as I'm about to right here. It wasn't really long enough. Just a little bit, you catch it. You need a nice long kind of steady braking movement, and then to get the proper sensation of it. Yeah, I've always found this car. It does the suspension bushes do sometimes get a bit kind of squeaky on it in the winter, and then in the summer that kind of disappears again, unless it's just been replaced, and then it's kind of okay. But quite quickly it comes back again. It must be something in the design. Not had it for any other car, but this one in particular, and I guess you notice it more because there's less other noise going on with it. But yeah. But one of the so because the average normally for this car over the last year or so has been quite low, the miles per kilowatt hour, it whenever you'd fully charge it up, it'd quite often have the range of just like 55-60 miles or so. And when I was driving it a lot, that would quite often happen. There's my first warning on the charge at 11 miles, gone orange, and it would then. But you always knew it's fine, because you've still got if you actually go on a longer run, you'll still have 80 miles easy of range, and that's just the same as it ever was, as I've just found today by going on a bit of a run and yes, it'll be 80 odd miles is the range. So will be, yeah, about what I've done at 4.07 miles per kilowatt hour, and I've done 74 miles. There's 10 left on the GOM. Yeah, so that's just, yeah, that's kind of normal. So as far as like so I mentioned the battery and what the state of health of the battery is. I mean, you don't notice a huge amount actually in the kind of day by day. So it has lost a little, as of course, I mean, all batteries will. That's what happens. But it's not super noticeable. So you can do this on the Zoe, this kind of like full reset of the trip meter. And so you're not just holding the button down on the end of the wiper stalk to reset, but there's this other trick which I'm no doubt shown in other videos where you hold down the brake and accelerator and open the front door and then do it. Hold down the button to reset, and then it does this kind of harder reset where it goes back to its absolute sort of full default for the range, what the expectation is on the range. Now, I think when I used to do that, maybe 8 years ago, it would be about 126 miles. It would come up with there. So when I just did that a day or two ago, after charging to 100%, it was 113 miles that it came to. So now it's not to say you'll get that range, because I mean, you could in ideal circumstances, maybe temperature wise and all the rest, driving very carefully, but it just kind of gives that indication of the difference between. And so yeah, there's no doubt the range will be a little less than it used to be, but usably, and as you get used to it, it doesn't feel like it's much different. So it used to be about 80 miles. I always thought that really, come what may, kind of any sort of weather, unless you're driving motorway speeds in the rain, you should easily get 75, 80 miles, and that is round about where we're at. 70 miles maybe if it's really bad weather. If you're on a run. Now it changes when you're doing lots of stop-start, heater on and all that kind of stuff, but if you're on a run, on a journey, as I've kind of done today, that's what you'd expect, and that is still roughly what it's doing. I'm being thwarted everywhere I go. So there are two rapid chargers just up here. I thought, well, I'll pop up to those, and the road is closed. Hey, Aberdeen is a nightmare at the moment for road closures, roadworks, doing gas things in some places. So constantly you're finding yourself stymied in where you're wanting to go. Well, take your tour of the Aberdeen city centre and Union Street here, the main street through the city, the music hall on the right hand side here. And yeah, I am trying to find a charger near to home. So I'm down to 6 miles on the GOM. I'm not gone to red warning yet, still on the orange. And yeah, I get a bit frustrated with Aberdeen and chargers sometimes, because generally it's not an issue for us, because we're just charging locally. But they, having made quite a good start kind of early on, it has just fallen woefully behind now. And in comparison to what's going on in Perth and in Dundee and in Stirling, it's actually pretty shocking how bad it is. So There are some new kind of ranks of rapid chargers being installed in some of the BP garages, but that I assume is going to be on their own network then and not part of Charge Place Scotland. So yeah, it's sad actually to see it fall by the wayside. The council has no money, as was the case with many councils, and it clearly is not a priority any longer for them to be encouraging adoption of non-gas guzzling automobiles. Sad. Oh dear, there's a blinking huge crane ahead of us, so I'm a feeling that I should have cut down that road right there. What is it with, yeah, as I say, everywhere you want to go in Aberdeen at the moment, you seem to get stymied by something. So oh dear, I can cut down a road to the left here, but oh yeah, what are they doing? Interesting. I have decided it's the fire brigade. When I pulled out, I decided to pull a U-E and then cut down this road here. But yeah, it's the fire brigade. So I don't know if they were rescuing somebody from the top there. Don't see anything else going on, but hope everyone's okay there. Anyway, we will cut through and find an alternative. Yeesh. This is a crazy bad bit of road, this, so good test for a clonking suspension. Right, here's some braking. Listen to this. Clack, 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 clack. I'm sure it's going to be the drop link. Blasted thing. Oh, look at the state of this charger. Cables just lying everywhere, and it's dead. Shall I try resetting it? Looks like it's completely dead. No, it is Christmas crackered. So, right, I officially give up. That is 3 different rapid chargers I've tried to go to. And, yeah, as I say, Aberdeen has become, from somewhere that wasn't too bad, just a bit of a nightmare if you're trying to rapid charge anywhere, which we don't, thankfully, need to ever do that really. And wherever we're going, there are decent rapid chargers. But I pity anyone who's trying to, drive somewhere and coming through Aberdeen. It's not good. But then there you go. Everything is rather falling apart in Aberdeen at the moment. So money being spent on other white elephants. There we are. Okay. I am going to just go and plug in at my charger. It's only 7 kilowatts, but it works. Good. Okay, charging at last. See the juxtaposition between these images of the charger doling out electricity, and then the boiler chunting out steam and fumes over on the other side. They are. Yeah, so as I say, ultimately after that, a lot of pootering around the city there in stop-start traffic. Average just over 4 miles per kilowatt hour, 4.02. Let's see if I can pull this up over on the... I knew that was going to happen. Oh, a bit of Lord of the Rings there, a blast from the past. Obviously, was somebody had found the memory stick that I used to have in here, because normally we just have a cable plugged in for the Android Auto on here and plug your phone in. But somebody switched it for the old USB stick, and it's got wonderful music on it. So there we go. So we are charging. Over here, it was at 3% when we arrived. So that's the other thing about running a small capacity battery EV like the Zoe. You get used to running to small percentages, and you're like, yeah, well, that's just part of life. In a way that I don't do so much in the MG, and I'm sure others don't in other cars with big batteries, because you don't need to. But it's just part of life, and so you kind of, well, I do anyway. I tend to just do that. Yeah, so 6 degrees, you see. So it's been quite cold, and oh yeah, all that stop-start traffic there has meant that my average is my score has gone down an extra point. 19 kilowatt hours consumed. Now remember, this battery is supposed to have 22 kilowatt hours available, but of course we're in cold weather, so that would you would kind of expect that to maybe come down a little bit. Not much regen, because I was not really trying to do a lot of regen for this. Oh, my average speed has really come down in that last bit. And yeah, 77.7 miles. So nearly 80 miles. Kind of what you would, yeah, I guess kind of what you'd expect. And so anyway, the point is, though, a 9-year-old small battery EV, when your average, the average mileage of somebody's 20 miles a day or something like that, it still works, for a lot of instances. So I can understand actually why these older EVs are holding their value well, because there's still a place for them, and they've got a role to play for folks that are needing a commuter vehicle. It still works fine, even now that we're into this whole realm of EVs with huge batteries and ranges that really is starting to rival fossil fuel cars. Yeah, it's there. So that's it. That's my update after 9 years with the Renault Zoe, and she's still going strong. And as you can see, a few rattles here and there, but nothing you wouldn't expect. And indeed, actually, nothing that can't be fixed for, what is a drop link, 20 quid or something? They are, yeah, they're not expensive. So that's us. That's me with the Renault Zoe, and an awful lot of other ramblings along the journey. But thanks for joining me. If you made it this far with me, oh, well done. And I don't know how many cups of coffee that took, but it's been nice journeying with you. And yeah, keep on with the revolution, the EV journey. And I'll catch up with you at some point. Take care. Bye. Right, that's the car fully charged, back up. And so on the app, one thing I hadn't mentioned is that the app has really improved in the last kind of version of it. And it was saying 94 miles. When I got back to the car, it's saying 91. with the full charge. So it's kind of balanced itself out a little bit on expectations. That'll come down a little bit as it kind of learns on the driving, but anyway, all good. So that's it. That's definitely it for my update on the Renault Zoe at 9 and a bit years old. All right, cheers, bye.